if you can see me and hear me pretty good. This is something I needed to get off my chest and talk about for a little bit. All this gun control talk, it's all useless. It won't stop anything. Nobody has any actual or factual proposals. Some do, but they don't want to listen to that. So, some of the stupidest comments I've ever heard, this will entertain you. Let me give you a few of them. This was from a person that claims to be, like our Second Amendment. And his proposal, or what he said was that since the kid that did the shooting bought one AR-15, then went back to the school and bought another, or went back to the store and bought another AR-15 a day later, that the gun store owner should be charged or looked into because somebody bought 2 guns within a day. And I messaged back to this guy and I said, do you realize that I've bought 3 firearms at the same time before? I seen a man get his retirement money from work all of his life and spend $10,000 in a gun store at one time. You can only fire 1 gun accurately at a time, especially if it's a rifle. You can hold 2 rifles, but anything accuracy, you're going to have to use 2 hands. So what does it matter if you have 500 or you only have 1? The shooter, any of these, but he had 2. And how many did he have in his hand? He had 1 the whole time. So I don't understand why people try to equate something with having more firearms or something. And then somebody said you should limit ammo. What? What? People are thinking of the most stupidest, most ridiculous things that I've ever heard when it comes to the gun debate. None of it works. It's all a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It's all knee-jerk reaction. None of it is actually something that will take the root of the problem. What they don't understand is the root of the problem is the immorality in this country. Children that have no fathers everywhere, growing up like that, and just being abandoned all the time, not being taken care of, being left with people so that the mother can go out and party or do whatever. Immorality, like I said, and just a lack of basic decency and mental illness. The age of, tell your kid to sit in the corner for 5 minutes when they get in trouble, instead of, spare the rod, spoil the child. Throwing all these drugs at kids and calling things like ADHD and all this stuff to everybody that has a little issue, or when they don't, or giving them drugs when they can't do things in school instead of actual punishment. There's so much more to this than just saying. What I always tell people is, it's like you having a contractor come in and moving all of your outlets up to 10 feet in your house because your toddler tries to put metal forks or pieces of metal into the outlets. You don't have somebody come in and redo your whole home and pay thousands of dollars to put your outlets 10 foot in the air. What you do is you correct the child. You correct where it starts. You fix the root of the problem. What they're trying to do here would never do anything. It wouldn't stop anything. It wouldn't minimize anything. Limiting 1 gun per month or what. It's all ridiculous. But all it does is what the goal is to chip away at the rights of everyone, because we're only 1 step from them being in complete control. So this is what I always tell everybody, and I try to drum this home to everybody as much as possible. The government are the servants. From the president on down, they are the servants. We, the people, are supposed to be the one that's in control of this country by voting, by doing other things, holding those accountable. It's we, the people, that are this country, not the government. But they're trying to twist that and flip it around and make us feel like we're the subjects and they're the ruler. We don't have a king. We don't have a queen. They literally live in a government welfare system that is paid off of our tax dollars. We, the people, are the country, not the government. They're there to handle foreign affairs and other issues and different things. But we, the people, that's why our rights were guaranteed, because our founding fathers could foresee that someday somebody like this would be an overreaching, overbearing administration that would try to restrict us. So luckily they were smart enough to put something in place for that, just for this reason. Why do you think they gave us the Second Amendment? It's for this reason, for them trying to take it away. Now, I've heard people say, let me tell you about this one here that you can tell all of your people at work. People say, well, back in that time, they had muskets. And let me tell you why it was so much more dangerous for the Second Amendment in that day than it would be now. Because the populace had the same arms as the army. Right now, the people don't nearly have the same arms as the army and forces in the country. We don't have anything near what they have. Fighter jets and anything, you name it. But back when the Second Amendment was made, everybody hunted. It was never about hunting. Everybody had to hunt to eat. If you didn't hunt, you didn't eat. So when the Second Amendment was put into place, every man had the same artillery as the army. Think of that. Equal artillery as the army. There was no difference whatsoever, except for one wore a uniform and one didn't. So that's what I say to the argument about that. Also, I say this. Your First Amendment right, your freedom of speech, that was written before the internet and social media. So does that mean I should be able to limit you because it's so easy to hit a button and speak to thousands at one time? Because back in those times, you could only speak to small groups at one time. So they had no idea that we was going to be able to speak to thousands and millions at one time. So should we limit you on your speech? Because our founding fathers didn't know that when they wrote the Constitution. They had no way of knowing that we'd be able to speak to millions and masses. They were only speaking to small groups. So maybe they didn't mean it to be purely free speech. Maybe you have to be restricted on everything you say. And we'll have to go over it and analyze it and post it maybe a month from now. Maybe a month we'll post it when it's no longer relevant. It goes both ways, people. It goes both ways. Sizes of the gun magazine and all this nonsense, it's just fodder to try to say you did something. It's all useless garbage. The root of the problem is what needs fixed, not the tool. Not the tool. People are saying, well, why not? Why can't they sue the gun companies? Well, it's for the same reason that the people in the parade, where the old women and the children were purposely hit by that guy, it's the same reason they can't sue Ford because he drove a Ford Escape. Because a company is not liable for misuse of the product. It's the same reason why hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people die from complications from cigarette smoking, which I'm not trying to put anybody down. I was addicted to cigarettes till about 17 years ago or so. So I know what that is. It was the hardest addiction I've ever had in my life. I would have rather had a cigarette than eat if it was one of the two. But the hundreds of thousands of people that die by cigarettes, nobody has sued Marlboro. Nobody. Because if they could class action sue Marlboro, there would be no Marlboro. So everything that they want to do, the reason they want you to be able to sue a gun company is because they feel that within time somebody will misuse a product and that people could sue the gun company. And the only reason they would want lawsuits is so they could drive them out of business, right? Because you couldn't sustain a business if you were open to lawsuits. Like, if I built bicycles, and I made these custom bikes, and people were giving them to their kids for Christmas, and a kid rode out into the street, and the person didn't see him, and they hit the child on the bike. If you could sue me and I knew you could sue me for that, I might as well close down my bike business and never build another one, because I know I'm going to end up with nothing. Or I would have strict limitations on who I sell my bicycles to. That's why they want to try to allow people to sue gun manufacturers, because they would have to stop immediately selling to the public. Nobody talks about, the politicians don't talk about, in Chicago, there's more people shot in the summertime, more people shot in one summer than all what we call mass shootings since Columbine. Anything that you can pick out where 19 were killed here, 10 were killed here, 7 were killed here. There's more people killed in Chicago in one summer. And they try to say that they don't classify that as mass shootings. But there's more people shot there every summer. That I guarantee you. And that's the way it will remain. Now what they've gone to doing is Chicago, they're so inept that they blame the states beside of them. They now say that it's coming from Indiana. And we should restrict Indiana because that's how the guns are getting to Chicago, is through Indiana. I say that's malarkey. How far does it go? How inept can you be that it gets down to the strictest gun laws in the United States, and then when that doesn't work, you just simply shift the blame to a state that's freer and allows citizens their rights? How can people be that out of it? That's why I can't take it when any president, this one or any other one, gets up and lectures and yells like he's in control. It's we the people. Back in the early days of this country, they would have took a tyrannical president out in handcuffs. They would have hogtied him and carried him out of there, because we the people are supposed to be the ones that's in control of this country. We don't have a ruler. We have people that live on a welfare system that we pay, and somehow they're multimillionaires. I can't even visit where Obama lives. What was it, $15 million for the home? $15 million in Martha's Vineyard? We can't even get up there to visit. So how does somebody that all of his life lived off of our money and is this rich? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because of what's going on right now. Kickbacks. You don't think all these gas high prices is going back to somebody in the Democratic Party? I guarantee you it is. You don't think they're getting money from this? You don't think there's money coming back from that $44 billion being sent to Ukraine? I guarantee you 1,000% there's money coming back here. It's a money laundering scheme. $44 billion to Ukraine, yet not a dime to put the proper people in place in schools in this country. How much could that have done for schools in this country? What you do is you put the right guy in there. Not some old guy sitting in a chair sleeping. You put some people in there that know what they're doing. No weapons and tactics. One entry point. Of course, you have fire doors to get out of. One entry point. Every other door is alarmed heavily. Anybody from the inside opens that door, alarms go off all over. You got one entry point, and you got somebody there that's armed with the tools that they need in the school. And instead of saying gun-free zone, you let people know that there's people out there, in there, armed on duty. You put signs up saying armed and on duty instead of gun-free zone. Gun-free, death pay. That's what it means. When you see a gun-free zone sign, if it's gun-free, then death is the pay. It's just getting ridiculous, man, with these politicians. That's all it is. It's getting out of hand. I'm not giving up 1 ounce of my rights. Not one thing. I won't go from a 30-round magazine to a 29. I won't give up 1 inch, even though I only load them to 29, so they're easy to put in the gun. I won't give 1 inch. Because if you give an inch, they take a mile. The reason that these so-called red flag laws are so bad is because we all know that anything the government gets a hold of will be used and abused against citizens that they don't agree with and they don't like. That's why we didn't want the, if you're on a no-fly list, you can't buy a firearm, because it circumvents the Constitution, and they could just put it on everybody. They could look at you. I'm not kidding you. This is how much I trust the government. You could put up a post with a Trump flag in the background, and they could give you a red flag law. I believe that 100%. I don't trust the heads of the government. The boots are okay, but the heads of the government is where it's all shredded and corrupt, deeply corrupted. All this stuff with the 2016 election, all that nonsense that went on. It's come out now that they knew within 3 days that Clinton bought dossier was fake. They knew in 3 days, and yet they still used it as a basis for a warrant to spy on people. Our own people spied on people, citizens of this country. They knew in 3 days. Bob Mueller, they then spent over $40 million. And what was it, 2.5 years with Bob Mueller, going over everything that he could with Donald Trump, when he knew that the whole basis for it was something said in a bar, that there was no basis for it, that it was all fake. That's the kind of country we're living in. Remember, one thing I'll never forget, something that rings in my mind every night when I go to bed. Peter Strzok, the third head of the FBI, the third man down, when he texted the woman he was cheating on, that was a lawyer for the FBI, and she said, Donald Trump won't become president, will he? And Peter Strzok said, no, we'll stop it. I have never forgot that, and I'll never forget that till the day I die. No, we'll stop it. He tried to claim he meant the citizens, but I know exactly what he meant. He didn't mean we'll stop it, the people. He meant we, meaning himself and other people. And that's exactly what they tried to do. No, we'll stop it. Remember, he said he went to Walmart, he could smell the Trump voters? This is people that we pay. You pay them. You go to work tomorrow, if you went to work in 2016, you paid Peter Strzok. He said, I can smell Trump voters. You believe this? The third man down in the FBI. Now, some of the guys on the ground, the lower guys, they don't have nothing to do with that. The flatfoots, they don't have nothing to do with that up there, up that high. But those ones that are up high, it's totally corrupt. We'll stop it. Never forget that. So, I don't trust anything that they want to dish out. A red flag law sounds good, right? It does. Somebody calls up and says, hey, this kid just killed cats and he's holding them in a bag. Okay, hey, that seems like a red flag to me, right? Okay, so what happens when somebody in government sees this video, gets ticked off and says, hey, listen to the verbiage that guy said and how he said it. This is red flag territory, and they come red flag me and take my guns and supersede the Constitution. Because, yeah, that's what'll happen. That's exactly what would happen. You give them an inch, they take a mile. Yeah, it'd be great for the guy that killed the cats, the kid that killed the cats and had them in a plastic bag. It'd be great to, but even if you red flag him, he could steal them. He could buy them on the black market. What are you going to do then? That's why all politicians, they'll always preface what they say with this. Every time they talk about gun control, they will always say this 100% of the time, and this is key. They'll say, we're not saying it will stop everything. You know why they say that? Because they know that if they ever did ban the sale and importation of AR-15s, that at some point one would be used in a crime or a mass shooting, and everybody would say, look, you banned them, and look, it still happened. So they always preface it because they know it won't work. They already know. They already forewarned you that it won't work. We're not saying it'll stop everything. That's key to their argument. They would just red flag everybody. Red flag every Republican. Go in the rolls. Look who voted for Donald Trump. Look who's a registered Republican. Red flag all them. Go take all their guns. We have the right. Red flag laws were voted into place. We can overstep the Constitution, and we can go get them. See, that's why. You give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. They're going to take 10 miles. So this is just me rambling, getting stuff off my chest about what's going on right now. It's just weird how every time a Democrat's in power, somehow these mass shootings in these elementaries pop up. I just don't understand it. I just don't get it. Because what I remember is Sandy Hook and gas being so high, I bought a little Honda Civic and sold my Yukon. Now what do we have? Gas being so high that it's cost me $135 to fill up my truck, and now there's an elementary school shooting. It's just so weird to me. But there was 4 years where gas was low. There was a recent 4 years where gas was down. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off with that. So hope you enjoyed my rambling. This is DOF, Defender of Freedom, and I'm out.